This is your checklist for the rest of your life. If something's not working in your relationship, this is the first place you go. 5 disciplines of love and 3 of passion. These 5 disciplines are what the game is all about. The first discipline we call the discipline of unconditional love and compassion. The discipline. Why do I call it a discipline? Because you don't always feel unconditionally loving and you don't always feel compassionate. If your triggers get fired, if something triggers your masculine or feminine, animal in you, that survival instinct in you based on something going on, you may not show up so, unconditional in your love and compassion. What this really means, put it in one phrase, put your lover what? It's not about you. That's the law. You put your lover first. If you are having problems in your relationship, I can promise you that the problem you're having right now is you're feeling pain right now, and it's because you're focused on yourself, not your partner. You're focused on what you're not getting. You're focused on what your partner's not giving you. You're focused on something that's not happening there. This is the number one law. You want to have an extraordinary relationship, tear up your rules, make this your number one rule. Number one rule is my lover comes first. My number one rule is if you're in love, you put their feelings and needs before your own. Second discipline, real quick, the discipline of absolute courage and vulnerability. Absolute courage and vulnerability. This is learning to love no matter what. I mean, truly no matter what. Now, how many people are going to do that? Not many. Not many people are going to have an extraordinary relationship. But what I mean by this is, if you have courage and vulnerability, that means you tell the truth. That means you open up. Most people, out of a lack of courage, hold back their gift. This idea that you're going to give pain to somebody you love, you're going to punish them, that takes no courage, that takes no vulnerability, that's just stupidity. So the more vulnerable you are, the more power you have, because love penetrates all. Third law is the law of positive intent.
Yes.
The discipline, I should say, of positive intent. By the way, discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. You don't follow these disciplines, you're going to have regret. Right? That's their disciplines, their commitments, they're things you're going to do no matter what. Discipline means even if it's not easy, you still do it, right? Discipline is, it's a habit. That's what a discipline is. It's a habit. It's the discipline of positive intent. You know the deeper truth that this is a no-blame game. You know that when something happens, no matter what it was, like when I said that to her, my girl knew, she and I made a decision early on. I decided, and this is a decision I encourage you to make if you haven't made it, or make it anew if you haven't made it in years. I decided I knew this woman's soul. Yeah. This woman's soul was as pure as anything I could ever dream of in my life. I knew that I loved this woman. Her soul was pure. So no matter what happened, I would serve her. And no matter what happened, no matter what she said, no matter what she did, I would know, even if I couldn't figure out how, the intent was pure. The intent was wanting to get closer. It looks mean, but she's scared. It looks vicious, but she's just freaked out. And same thing with me. He looks like he's an unconscious asshole. He just doesn't know. It looks like he doesn't give a shit. He's actually a masculine male, and this is what they do, right? We shifted the meaning to always there's an empowering meaning because there's never negative intent, no matter what it looks like, no matter what was said. And by having that, along with that, the discipline of positive intent, in a sense, no blame game, we immediately apologize. It doesn't matter what has happened. If there's any argument we have, it's a playful argument, which is, I'm taking responsibility and she's taking responsibility. No, honey, it was my fault. No, it was my fault. And it's like, and we mean it sincerely. It doesn't matter what it is, because I hold myself as whatever she's feeling, ultimately it's my responsibility. Even if I didn't intend it, that's it. So I take responsibility. I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry your feelings were hurt. She does it with me also. And since we both are constantly doing it, it makes it like there's nobody ever blaming somebody else. So think about this. We put each other first. If we find we're not, we change that immediately, right? We immediately look at, we got to be courage and vulnerable. We've got to tell the truth. That's really what that is. Tell the truth with kindness, with love, with making nobody wrong, because we both know we have positive intent. And you break through all the bullshit with this.
Mm-hmm. And with an apology, rather than I'm sorry you, always have I.
Yes.
Always I. Honey, I'm sorry today when I upset you, or I'm sorry today if I upset you. Having the word I and owning it neutralizes. It's such a crazy, and we so underrate an apology of ownership. Owning something, who cares? When you love each other, who cares about being right or wrong? And if there really is an unconscious action, and even if it wasn't your intent, even if it wasn't unconscious, even if it was a misinterpretation, who cares? Own it. You own it, and it neutralizes that, and it only brings you closer. It's extraordinary.
And you got to remember, no matter what they did, that's not who they are. If you can remember that, human behavior is not a reflection of the human spirit. Often it's a reflex action of the animal inside of us. And if you can know that, you know their spirit and you know their soul, then you know when people get insecure, when they get uncertain, when they go in survival, I've done it, you've done it, we've all done it. So instead of judging and making them wrong because you're scared of being hurt again, you got to come back to, I know what their intent is, I know it's positive. When you question my intent, you end the relationship. You question my behavior, you got every right to do that, even if I disagree with you. You just never question intent. I'd underline that, I'd bold it, I'd go on. If you question intent, you are destroying the relationship. So when you look at somebody, usually you subscribe either what you would do, or if you dislike something about them, or you're in a bad state, you'll come up with the worst reason why they did it. It's never the truth. They did it to meet some needs, same as you. But underneath it, if you know their soul, you just don't question their intent. Now think of it, if you just did these three things, what would be destroyed on your list? Oh my God, our kids, blah, 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 blah. Wait a second. My wife comes first, my husband comes first. You know what? Bottom line is, I trust and love them. These kids are going to be great. I'm going to bend. I'm going to find something here for him. I'm going to find something here for her, right? And I'm making this so crazy. I'm being so upset. What am I really upset about? I'm upset thinking my kids are not going to be the way I want them to be. Not my kids are going to be the way they're meant to be. So it's really about me again, right? You know, discipline of absolute courage. You know, honey, I just want to talk to you. I'm concerned. This is how I was raised. I know you were raised differently, vulnerably. I love you. I love you the way you are. You're a rebel. You love me. I have rules. Maybe our kids will be okay with that too. What do you think? Finding some way. You know, knowing that there's positive intent will kill any anger, upset inside this piece. Fourth one of the 5 disciplines. Fourth is the discipline of honorable language and moment-to-moment awareness. Honorable language. There is power in love, adoration, and praise. And most of us don't use it enough. Most of us don't praise enough. And when I say praise, make a note. If you're going to praise your man or your woman, you must praise them specifically, not generally. But moment to moment, being consciously aware of the impact that you're having with your language and your presence on your partner. And your language as well. Body language, words, deeds. It's knowing you have an impact and seeing that impact. You know, if I'm doing something and I look over and I see my girl is not in a great place, I don't continue. So what happens for a woman to understand is we get information in, and if we hear a word, words go into that file in our brain, left hemisphere. Emotions go on the other side. But when you say a word to a woman, it hits both hemispheres. It's like if I asked you, where were you on, you know, the 11th of August in 2001? But if I asked you, where were you on 9/11? How many remember exactly where you were in the room when you heard about it, or you were there, you saw it? Because information with emotion is remembered forever. And for women, words that you say mean a lot because they have determined whether she's pleasing you or not. And those words get connected to emotion. And you might just be saying things, because guys say things all the time. Right? And when you're that upset, gentlemen, there's nowhere to go. You're never going to hurt that woman in a million years. So the only way to let go of some of the pressure is yell or scream or use some words. But then she takes those words in and she's hurt by it.
And here's a trick. I'm married to a very passionate man. He's married to certainly a very passionate woman. And we made decisions. Never, I hate you. Never, I'm going to leave you. And not F you. Tone will say, F, 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 mother F. Like, I mean, it can come flying out of his mouth and have such a level of intensity. But F, for F's sake, whatever that might be is different than...
Never to you. That, and one other big one I'll give you is, if you ever threaten the end of the relationship, end it.
Yeah.
Because if you ever threaten it, when people go to put their button on the button, just to threaten it because they're so frustrated, the moment you do that, somewhere in the psyche of your partner, they think, oh my God, they could leave me, and I'm gonna have to do this first. And so they put their finger on the button, and all it takes is enough times of doing that, enough years of doing that, and one day somebody will push the button. If you are committed to the relationship you're in, ban for life.
Yes.
For multiple lifetimes, for those of you who are going to come back 6 and 7 times like some of the people here did. You ban for multiple lifetimes. I will never, ever, ever threaten. Never. Neither of you ever threatens to leave. If you threaten to leave, relationship's over. It might take 3 more years, 5 more, 10 years, but it's over. If you want to be in a relationship with this person, don't ever, ever, ever threaten. And if you did before, it's off limits forever. No exceptions. Doesn't matter how mad you are, angry you are, sad you are, never. You're not unconscious with your language, you're not unconscious with your deeds, you're aware of the impact and you correct it immediately. You constantly realize, I'm pissed off, I'm hurt, I'm sad, it's about me. Let me step out of me, I'm into something bigger here. Right? I'm not about that. I'm about something bigger. It's what do they need? Let me step in there. You do that enough times, it'll become a habit. And finally, number 5, the discipline of giving freedom. Giving freedom. Men live for freedom. Women need it also. But it comes in different forms. And it's the power of forgiving, forgetting, and flooding. Forgiving, forgetting, and flooding. Now, women seem to have more of a difficulty with forgetting. But you can be forgiving, and forgiveness is when you realize that what you thought happened didn't really happen. You gave it a meaning that doesn't really match reality. You're expecting your partner to be something different than they are. Flooding is one of the most valuable skills you can do in your life. If you don't flood, you'll have a hard time forgiving and forgetting.
And we flood our magic moments. I mean,
all the time.
All the time. And we capture them. You know, we have our little app of a journal that we capture all of our beautiful moments. After this event, when we get home on Sunday, we'll spend an hour and just capture all the beautiful moments that happened here. Everything that was funny, everything that was beautiful, everything that was touching. Because otherwise, it's actually what Nicole was talking about. Maybe she talked about framing. You have a peak experience and you actually give words to it, and that frames it, and it helps to get to that place. It's just like you bypass all that effort that took you there, and then that's your next starting point. And then you have another peak experience, and then you share that and you frame it and you give language and you give words to it, and then boom, you set the bar higher. And a lot of times what happens is magic happens in life. Grace pours, and we don't give words to it. We don't celebrate it. We don't recognize it. We don't see it. We don't appreciate it. And putting words to that of appreciation and of and reliving and experiencing it, it is. I would say it's one of the top 10 things for us that we do that just. It ignites and that feeling and just of utter appreciation, and we always capture it so we can go back and read it. It's so beautiful. This is something to share. So when we first, it's true.
Setup.
He was so, oh my gosh, like I mean, rigid, militant, blue, like so intense about these things. And so, I mean, anytime that anybody would talk about eggs, he was just like, in what felt like he was not vicious, but it felt like that level of intensity. And so we were together, and I was feeling like I needed more protein. And we share everything, and it was so crazy because I started to eat eggs, and I literally, and I didn't tell him.
God!
No, this sounds nuts, but I did not tell him, and I felt like I was having a freaking affair with an egg. And I would go into the pantry, and I'd eat the eggs, and I'm like, this is nuts. Like, this is crazy. It seems ridiculous. You're nuts. And it sounds nutty, but what was like, and I put so much energy into hiding my egg eating, and then it got to the day where I was like, this is outrageous. This is just out of hand. And I sat him down.
So she finally came out.
Finally told him.
She shared me the affair she'd been having with eggs, and I was crestfallen.
It's crazy.
I still hate him.
He does.
Still hate him. Like,
he does. And I still eat them.
I
love breakfast. I love my eggs, and I love my breakfast.
I love her. Yes, so I love an egg eater. Now you know the truth.
Yeah.
So we disagree completely, but we love each other. So that's how you balance it out. You get it? You get it? You put love first. You love more than your rules. And it makes you a better human being because it opens you up, because lots of things we're making life and death that really aren't. They really aren't. Happy Valentine's Week, everybody. It's Tony.
Happy Valentine's Week, everybody. We love love, and we're here to just share some insights and tidbits with you for this week.
And this is my girl, Sage. Hi, Bonnie Pearl.
Hi.
Listen, Valentine's Week is such a beautiful time because it makes people think about the one they love instead of all the busyness of their life. And we all know what's most important to us in a life is love and passion and aliveness. But unfortunately, that stuff gets set aside trying to schedule everything else in. We're even working here to do this little video, and they're in the background here waiting to continue some construction on the building next door. Just life keeps happening.
It does.
So our hope for you this week is that you decide to make it not just Valentine's Day or Valentine's Week, but that you decide there's going to be a part of you and a part of your partner in life, whether you found them or the one you're pursuing or the one you're already with, that you're going to start to cherish at a different level.
Absolutely.
And while that may sound corny, we've got some skills. We just spent some time in Hawaii for 7 days with our platinum partners, and we went deep. We were with couples that were absolutely gone. How would you describe some of them? Some of them totally in love, some of them over the top, but how would you describe the experience, honey?
It was, it's amazing to be able to take a relationship that truthfully doesn't feel that passion and doesn't feel that intimacy and that love, and in a moment to be able to decide something new. And that's what happened over and over and over again in Hawaii. And so you're going to be able to experience a taste of that. And we're just here to say that this weekend, Valentine's Week, remember, it's about waking up. It's about waking up to adoring your partner at such a different level and celebrating your partner. And, you know, it's crazy because on Valentine's Day, you know, we do so much that's romantic and that's thoughtful and that's creative and go out of our way. And it's about bringing that magic and that love and that thoughtfulness and that sincerity and waking up to your partner's needs at such a different level, because it really is in the little things that, you know, just create that depth of love.
It's also just deciding to set a stake in the ground,
Yes.
a standard for going forward, that this is not just Valentine's Day, but your life.
Absolutely.
You know, people get what they accept. People get what they tolerate in themselves and in each other. And most people in a relationship are thinking about what they're going to tolerate in the other person. But in our relationship, I think the beauty and the passion and all the juice that I've gotten experience in our relationship with my girl is because I hold myself to a higher standard than she could ever expect of me. And I think when your standard and focus is about yourself instead of about your partner, about how do I show up more, what am I here to give? In the beginning of a relationship, people's whole focus is how do I light them up? I want to do anything that lights them up. And it makes you feel incredible to light your partner up. And you know, a relationship is aging, not based on years, but based on when you could be with somebody a week. But if you start thinking about, well, what are they doing for me? And I'm doing it all. And you start measuring what you're giving instead of just giving from your heart and your soul, things drop off. So maybe this week is a chance for you to really create some relationship breakthroughs. And we think that takes three things, any kind of breakthrough. Sometimes it's having the right strategy. Because frankly, you know, as a guy, we say and do things that girls interpret very differently. They come up with very different meanings, and vice versa. You know, for men, for example, problems are not things you talk about. Problems are things you solve right now, or you make them small and move on. For ladies, sharing that problem, digging in, feeling it, not solving it, understanding it.
Understanding, gentlemen, is such a key piece. We are such different species. And I think having an understanding of each other and each other's needs and knowing that we are not the same. You know, our own reality of how we think and feel and process life isn't the same for your partner. So having that, not just understanding, but truthfully appreciation for how they view and experience the world is a game changer. There's so many things in our relationship and it's like, oh my goodness, you know what? It's not me, because sometimes you take things personally. It's just knowing that that's how they process reality and process life.
When they say that, it's not men are for Mars, women are for Venus. John Gray's a friend of mine. That's a wonderful approach, but all men have a feminine side and a masculine side. All women have a feminine side and a masculine side. It's really just understanding how this species, the different species, interpret the world. And if you don't understand the strategy of how to interpret that, you'll be upset or angry or frustrated. So perhaps this week, and you know, you'll be able to dig in and get some new understandings that'll take some of the weight off and make you laugh at stuff that you used to get upset about. It's one thing to have strategies to know how to fix things, but oftentimes you don't apply what you know because you got a story about your relationship, a story about your partner. They don't really care. You know, you've got frustrations or pains or disappointments that got interpreted in the past, and now you're generalizing about your partner. And whenever we generalize about anybody, we do them a disservice and ourselves as well. So maybe this week during Valentine's Week is maybe discover what are the empowering stories about your relationship. If you ask a couple, how did you meet? And they talk about it with such passion and excitement, you know the relationship's still alive. If they go, yeah, we met, you know, this is what happened, and we bumped into each other, there's no energy for it. Even the story of how you met affects you.
It does.
So part of this week you might want to take a look at the stories that you tell about your partner to yourself, to your friends, to your partner, because we start to believe our stories. And I always tell people, you want to change your life, change your story. Divorce the story of how your partner's not enough, or you'll never find the partner you want if you're single, or the good ones are gone. Whatever's stopping you from getting what you want in a relationship, there's a story about it. If you can uncover it, you can get rid of it. Divorce your story and marry the truth. The truth is always something that will empower you much more.
And that truth of that magnification, remembering, it's like one of the gifts that we give each other, especially actually at a time like this, like Valentine's Week, it's actually reliving those moments, you know, reliving the magic and appreciating the magic. And it's just, I don't know, it infuses into your life rather than looking and letting those stack up for you become frustrations. And the story knowing that this man, I was born to love this man.
I love that story. And God gifted me for all that I've done with millions of people, the good I've done. This has been the gift of my life that I've gotten from that. I believe that's my positive karma. That's the core story I believe about this woman. And that produces a love and a commitment and a devotion to each other that gets through any of the other BS that shows up when you get caught up in the daily stresses of things.
So rewrite your story. What is your love affair and who are you for the one that you love?
And if you're single, it's time to rewrite the story of who you are and the one that you're going to attract, because whatever we focus on, wherever, we all know, wherever energy goes, wherever focus goes, energy flows. So your story controls the energy of your life. If you think all the good ones are gone, it's self-fulfilling. You know, if you're overweight and you aren't losing weight, the strategies are there, but you're not doing it because you go, I've tried everything. You haven't tried everything. Not all the good ones are gone. And your partner who's right with you, if there was ever a passion, that passion can be brought back to life with the right strategies. But first you got to have the story that says it can. The last one real fast and we'll go is, the most important part of a relationship is the state you're in. We always call it the state of the union. You know, what's the state of the union? If two people, independent of each other, are in peak states about things in their business, their life, their career, and they meet together, it's a great relationship. If they're both in kind of a so-so state, eventually the relationship's so-so. If they're both in a crappy state, pretty soon it's a crappy relationship. What people want is when we meet somebody, we get attracted to them because they change our state, they change the way we feel, and we get excited and want to be with them. Are you putting yourself in a state when you're with the partner in your life or the person you want to attract? Are you really in the state that would make them want to be with you like they would be in the beginning? You know, most people are noticing what the other person isn't doing, but the most important thing is you're going to interpret your partner in really negative ways when you're in a lousy state. You ever been mad at somebody about something and you found out later on you were wrong? It was just the state you're in. So we have so many tools for changing state, and we work at it.
We do, and I'm giggling about this one because state, my husband always says I'm the most loving human being on the planet until I don't eat, then he calls me Godzilla. So from
breathing fire.
From a state perspective, be aware, sometimes truthfully, we will, even if there's a stacking or we have a frustration, we will literally, it's like, you know what, we need to change our state. We'll go drink some water, we'll eat something, just taking a breath from what's happening in that moment. So it allows your physiology to change. So you're not like bringing that to the table in that moment, because that can just cause, if you're both frustrated and those two frustrations are just going together, it's like literally, I mean, we will, physically just, it's like, let's do something physical. We'll jump in the pool. It sounds crazy, but it actually, like, you know, you come out and you feel different, and feeling different, your physiology, you experience a different reality.
When you're stuck in a relationship, you're stuck because you're stuck in a state. People get stuck in the future, or the future's not the way they want it to be in their head, or something that happened in the past. The best thing is to change something in the present. Physically change it, drink some water, have something to eat, jump in the river, do whatever you got to do, because in the right state, you and I both know if there's any love there, you will transform and come back and solve the problem. But in the wrong state, good people, the right people in the wrong state will mess up the relationship. So if you want to have a breakthrough, this week, look at some of the strategies for understanding, appreciating, and changing. Look at what triggers you to feel attracted, because this week's not just about love, it's love and passion. Because if all you have is love, you have a friendship. Nothing wrong with that. But if you have an intimate relationship, then there's passion there. So what are the strategies to trigger that, the masculine and feminine energy, the dance of it? Take a look at some of those this week. Take a look at this week as your own story. Take a look at your state. And we're going to introduce some little videos this week for you. It's just our gift to you. And then at some point, there'll be an offering for you to continue your education with us. We have our Ultimate Relationship Program, and they'll have some kind of special offer for you. And that's, if you want to continue this journey with us and really expand things, please take advantage of that. But the first thing we want to do the next day or two, maybe they'll put it on this video, I don't know how they'll do it, is what we call the 8 to be great, which is, what are the laws of love and lust? They're different, love and passion. What makes you love somebody doesn't always make you excited by them. Sometimes you just want to snuggle. What makes you excited doesn't always bring out love. How do you trigger both of these in the same relationship?
And ignite that. Ignite that passion, ignite that love, ignite that attraction. And you can turn on in an instant. And that's what we really share. You know, for us, we are each other's best friends. I mean, there's literally, we share everything together. And yet, to have that and to have that intimacy alive, to have that and to have that level of attraction, that's where it's a game changer. It's a game changer of a level of love and excitement and anticipation to really share your life together.
And fun.
And fun. Like we can call each other Godzilla and we just roll with it.
We, Godzilla.
Me.
I'm never intense. What are you talking about?
He's a cupcake.
Anyway, I'm a total cupcake. Happy Valentine's Week.
Yes.
We hope you enjoy some of the stuff we're sending you. We hope it's helpful for you. We know it will be if you take the time, and hopefully we'll get a chance to meet you in person someday at an event, or hear the story of how you've changed your life and changed your relationship. Either created the one you really want or taken the one that you're in to a new level. God bless to you. Happy Valentine's Day. Hey everybody, it's Tony and Sage.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Listen, we just want to reach out this week and remind you what you already know, and that is no matter how stressful your life can be, whether it be the economy or kids or your business, ultimately what makes you feel alive is love. Love and passion together.
We're incredibly passionate about this subject, and love is something that you certainly just don't take for granted, and something that you consciously create every moment, every day of your life. And we're proud to say that we have 12 beautiful years together. Yeah. So we're just here to share some fun tidbits with you.
So it's actually our 12th anniversary, and one of the things that we found is we meet couples, and very often people say, you guys seem like, you're newlyweds, or they'll ask us, did you guys just get married, which we're really proud of after 12 years. Mm-hmm. But it's not a matter of time that makes that difference. Mm-hmm. If you're single, one of the reasons that people find themselves in a relationship that they're unhappy with is they're filtering today's relationship through the past. And one of the things that we've done for anybody we're going to help is get you to clear the decks of the past and step into who you're with right here and right now. That can start to create a difference. Because in the beginning of a relationship, what were you willing to do for that person? Anything, right? Anything, whatever it takes. Now after a few months or a few weeks or a few years, all of a sudden you're saying, would you take out the trash? And in the beginning you're like, whatever you want, the trash, I'm happy to do it for you. Now it's like, what do I look like, your janitor? So learning how to be able to create that aliveness again and not filter your partner through an old story is one of the most important things you can do to have a passionate relationship.
It's true, in that the love and the passion, that intimacy happens in this moment. And this moment that's transpiring right now is the only thing that's real. So giving your partner the gift of living in today and living in this moment and creating something that's magical and beautiful from this place, there's no greater gift.
I also think that if you think about it in the very beginning of a relationship, the very things you're most attracted to, very often when the relationship goes bad, you reject the things that you loved. In the beginning you may have been very, enticed by this person because they seem very mysterious and quiet, and now you're pissed off that they're quiet all the time. Or in the beginning you thought, wow, I love them because they had so much energy and passion, they just took over the room, and now you're like, why do they have to talk all the damn time? Don't they ever shut up? One of the things that happens in relationships is if we don't realize that what we're attracted to in the other person that we think is so different than us is just another part of ourselves that we're not actively utilizing. And if you don't use your partner to trigger that awakening inside yourself, eventually you resent them because you resent that a part of yourself is being shut down.
And I think you both have, certainly when we first met, there's little crazy pieces that drive each other crazy, but to shift those to actually appreciations. And one of the gifts we certainly give each other is, rather than having that irritation, to actually be humored and to be playful about it. So it just breaks the pattern and creates, just brings an aliveness and a playfulness to the relationship.
You like the fact that my wife needs to have, 9 hours of sleep and eat about every 15 minutes. It doesn't
the fact
bother me
that my
anymore.
husband only needs actually 4. And I beg him to go to bed at night. After 12 years, that's still something that transpires in our daily life of our relationship. Me begging for sleep and food.
Yes, I know. But anyway, here's our point. If you want to have an extraordinary relationship, it really requires you to get outside of yourself. We all know that. When you really fall in love with somebody, it is really about what can I do for you versus what are you doing for me. The end of a relationship is when you're evaluating what they have done versus what you've done. If you've got a scorecard, you're on your way out. And that doesn't mean it can't be turned around. The heavy of relationship can be eliminated when you step into that mode of giving. And interestingly enough, when people are attracted to each other, though, you don't have these problems. Because when people have that sense of attraction, that energy, that sensuality, that sexuality, what happens is you have filters. You laugh about things that you'd be upset about before. So all the research that we found in our own lives and literally the hundreds of thousands of couples we work with is we can tell you all these things we're talking about, but ultimately you need more passion. Because lots of couples actually have love, but they don't have the level of passion they want, and there's an emptiness, there's a missing energy in their life. And so for us, the secret is really to unleash that again. And so part of what we did on our 7th anniversary as we put together a program called the Ultimate Relationship Program, humbly titled, of course. But it really is the best of what we've learned working with hundreds of thousands of couples, literally, and taking couples from the place of the end to turning them around. Taking people that could never find the right relationship, that are single, saying, and all the good ones are gone, and showing them what was going on inside themselves, that when they change that, they're able to immediately get the relationship that they really want by becoming the kind of person that they're looking to attract in their life. Anyway, we created it. It's done on 8 DVD videos and 8 audios. And you can listen to one a week for 8 weeks, or you can listen to one a day, literally for 8 days if you're an immersion person like us. And we think you'll find it fun because it isn't just us talking and sharing with you what to do step by step to either create the relationship you want or revitalize a relationship, but it's really about love and passion and the little triggers that change it all. So I know sometimes it's like, will it really be valuable for me? So during Valentine's Day, we're doing a little special where you can try it risk-free for $15 for 30 days, literally $15. Listen to it, watch the whole thing, and if you don't like it, send it back. But we know it'll be life-changing for you because whether you're married or single, you're going to see real people in real life we're working with and watch the changes and then see what they're like a year later, 2 years later when we follow up to show the differences. So we're really proud of the program, and it seems like the ultimate Valentine's gift you could give yourself or somebody that you really love. But along the subject, though, in the next few days, we'll send you a few videos that we've done over the last few years with some triggers and some tools, just our little gift to you, whether you do this or not. But we hope you'll look at relationship as something you want to master, not just dabble in. It doesn't just come naturally. Great relationships don't interrupt you. They've got to be pursued. They've got to be created. They've got to be protected. And you've got to keep that passionate part alive. And for those of you that are worried about the economy, which many people are, an interesting study came out from the National Bureau of Economic Research, and they found out by a 2-year study throughout North America, people of all kinds of belief systems and backgrounds, that couples that were having regular sex, to them that was twice a week, that was the equivalent of a $100,000 increase in income in terms of happiness. Literally, couples that were stressed out, if they just increased their sex life, couples that went from once a month having sex to once a week having sex, it was the equivalent of $50,000 of additional income. So if you can't change your income real quick, you could do this a lot quicker. You could have the energy there real quicker. And then there's the health benefits.
There's so many health benefits. It was fun when we were exploring this, actually. There's one through CNN that they just did a recent study. And actually, having sex up to twice a week, it's equivalent of burning, ladies, 50 calories. And over a month's period of time, that's like a 7-mile run.
It's 3 times a week.
3 times a week, yes, 3 times a week.
Of course, the guys are going to point that out. But it's the equivalent of 7 miles of running.
Which is just extraordinary. So I don't know how many of you would rather, I don't know about me, but I'd certainly rather a bed over running shoes. So it also increases your immunity, your active target cells in the body up to 30%. So there's just so many, health benefits and gifts, never mind creating the intimacy and playfulness in a relationship.
For men, you have a 50% less chance of having a heart attack if you're having sex regularly twice a week.
That's amazing.
And by the way, this doesn't work the same for yourself. For those of you who are thinking creatively, I don't want the complexity of a relationship, because there's the bond of love and passion. So most guys don't need any encouragement on this area. I think that somebody once said that women need a reason to have sex, men just need a place.
And also the gift of Valentine's Day, if you think about it, it's a day when, you put your focus on your lover and, you're romantic, and the thoughtful notes and the kindness and the intimacy or the lighting the candles or going for dinner. All that love doesn't just happen, and it's created by the magic of that awareness and giving each other that gift on a daily basis rather than just one day a year. Our hope for you is that you take this gift and you can implement even a few of these distinctions, that you can create that aliveness and that connectedness and have a loving life, or in love life for a lifetime after 12 years for us, and many of you I know that are on this path, whether it's just in the beginning or after 40 years. Love can be given and ignited in a moment, and same with passion.
Happy Valentine's Day. Hope we haven't overwhelmed you with just talking. As you can see, this is off the script. This is how we operate. This is how we roll.
It is indeed.
Love to you. Wishing you the greatest blessings in your life. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, it's Tony Robbins. Listen, I'm here today to talk to the gentlemen in the group, but in case any ladies are watching today as well, here's my question for you ladies. How many of you cannot stand a man who can't make a decision? How many of you cannot stand a man who, at one point in the relationship, he's there for you, and now he doesn't feel present at all? How many can't stand a man that can't tell you the truth? And now that I've stirred up the ladies, this is really a video for men. So gentlemen, I know there's been women in your life who have felt in the beginning so much passion for you, and then gradually you guys seem to drift apart and you love each other, but there isn't that same aliveness, that same sensuality or sexuality or excitement together. And a lot of men think that's women that creates it. I would argue to you, gentlemen, that if you and I take responsibility and we dig underneath and we understand what the triggers are that make women turn off, then we can turn them back on, and not by some stupid technique, but by the thing that affects most women the deepest, and that is your presence. Most women are starving for a man who's present. What does present mean? It means a man who is right here with me 100% right now. His mind isn't doing 20 other things. And I know, gentlemen, it's hard to be present when a woman is talking to you and she's talking about so many things so quickly very often that don't relate, because a woman's brain has something called diffused awareness. It means they take in everything all at once. It isn't multitasking. It's literally transitioning, not even transitioning, experiencing multiple conversations and people at one time, whereas men tend to focus on one thing at a time. And when a woman starts doing that, most men's brains click in and they try to focus on one thing they can handle, and they're no longer present. If you're in your head and you're not connected to that woman, she doesn't feel that presence. And presence is what opens a woman. Presence is what causes a woman to open to you sensually, sexually, emotionally, her heart, her soul, the whole 9 yards. Ladies, correct me if I'm wrong. There is nothing more powerful than presence when there's real love involved. So, and often women will respond to a man who doesn't even love them, but who's present for them, where they feel like there's nothing else in the world but me right now. And gentlemen, you know how to do that when you're in the zone in sports. You are so present. When you're in the zone trying to solve a problem, you were so there. And you probably were so there when you were pursuing this woman. But if you can train yourself to bring that presence back on a regular basis, you can own your woman like she's never been owned, where she will literally melt to you. And I don't think most women who are feminine would argue with what I'm sharing with you right now. If they do, they can not only talk back to the video, they can write some comments down below wherever this thing is posted. So what makes women also feel you're not present is when they feel like you're not honest. And most men are truly honest, but they just don't want to deal with what they call the shit. That must be the technical term, right? The shit they get for telling the truth because she disagrees about it. And men get worn out by words. Men would happy to resolve it, but then finally they'll just say, yeah, okay. When you say, yeah, okay, and it's not really okay with you, you're not present. So she gets even more animated. See, most women, they don't want to please her. They would like to be pleased, but they don't want to please her. A pleaser is trying to do anything they can to make things work. They feel there's no presence in that man. He has no center. He has no strength. They may like him, but it's going to be hard for them to respect him. And if she doesn't respect him, there's not going to be a lot of passion. And if him is you, that's a real problem. You and I both know, whether you're a single man who's meeting women or whether you're in an intimate relationship. So I thought maybe what I'd show you is one example of how women perceive dishonesty, as men perceive it as just leaving things out so they don't have to deal with more challenges, and how to deal with it differently. And I can tell you that verbally, but it might be better to witness it. We were in Hawaii recently, and there was a gentleman there sharing with us that he has so much difficulty just dealing with his wife. She wants him to do things like do the dishes, and he says, I run a business, and if I don't do the dishes, she doesn't feel like I love her. And I said, well, then why would you just do it at times? He goes, I do at times, but it's like every time. And so she'll ask me, am I going to do dishes? And I say yes, and then I don't do it, and then she gets mad at me, and I said, yeah, because there isn't anything authentic. I said, why don't you play your wife right now, and let's talk about whatever she's upset about, and I'll just be me, but I'll be you. In other words, I'll be myself if I was you. And you'll just watch this little video, and it's pretty simplistic. All I basically say is, no, I'm not going to do it. And he was shocked when I demonstrated this, but I didn't do it harshly. I didn't say you should go do these dishes. I don't have the delusion that that's the woman's job. I just said I'm not going to do it. This is the higher priority, but I also don't think it should be your problem, and I'm committed to working out a solution, but I'm not going to do this. And there's some things that you probably don't want to do. I don't want you to. Let's work this out. It's coming from a place of congruency. And people can feel when you say what you mean and you mean what you say versus when you're placating. So I know this is third grade at one level, like we all know this intellectually, but knowing intellectually and doing it is the difference between having a passionate relationship and a relationship where you're constantly accommodating each other. And accommodation doesn't produce passion. It might have a relationship where there's some friendship, but again, the only difference between a friendship and an intimate relationship is intimacy. And real exciting intimacy is when people feel your presence. Feeling dishonesty will take it away. So watch this quick little video, real simple, and see what you get out of it, gentlemen. And think about if you might use that same sense of presence that's already inside you, that you use in business or sports with that woman and not let the past wear it out. You might be surprised. Women very often, when they feel that strength, it excites them to see you have a standard and you're not going to be swayed. Take it out and maybe show this even to a woman in your life and see if she agrees. She might say, Tony Robbins is so full of it. That's a bunch of crap. My bet is she'll say, yeah, smack you on the shoulder. That's what I've been trying to tell you. Be present with me. And instead of saying, well, I'm sorry, I'll do better, just deliver it. Maybe this week is a time, Valentine's week, a time for you to find your own center. The way you do in business, the way you do when you have a purpose. Do that with a woman in your life. The game will change. I said, think about a relationship where you have unbelievable love for this person and you constantly are starving, hungry for each other intimately as well. Make the sound of what that sounds like in your body when you have love and passion. Go nice and loud, come on. Oh, come on, has it been that long? Make the sound of a relationship where there's lots of love but not enough passion. Make that sound. See, when you talk about a relationship with love but not enough passion, it doesn't seem like that big a deal. But sound is a great way to calibrate what's really happening in your nervous system. What I found in my life for years, I had a relationship with someone who was a great lady, and we had tons of love, but very little passion, and I wanted more passion. But I didn't understand what the triggers were. I didn't understand the differences in values and rules. I didn't know how to shift anything. Nobody teach you this. And so I'd be in this experience where it's like, wow, I remember being on stage vividly in a room that would have been my ultimate years before. It was at the Continental Center in New York City. There were 13,000 people in the room, 12,000 something hundred, almost 13,000 people. And I was doing my gig. And we were rocking, like what we're doing here with 5,000, imagine 13,000. And we were going full tilt with a level of intensity. It was unbelievable. And people were out of their mind. And during one of the stretch breaks, one of my partners came up and told me my company had gone public that morning. And that's the morning where my stock alone was worth $400 million. So he's Tony, you just made $400 million this morning while you're doing what you love. And I was like, shit, good morning. It was a great morning. But you know what was interesting? It was really great. It was like, wow, that's wonderful. And then what I really want to do is get right back into what I loved. It didn't, like it was a cool thing, but it didn't change my life. But the biggest thing is the end of that night, I'm connecting people, high-fiving, signing, hugging people, and it's just a beautiful day. And I get home, and I'd made $400 million. I've been with almost 13,000 people. I'd done what I loved. I was on fire and alive. And I went home and I was miserable. Because when I went home, the person I was with wanted me to be something different than what I was. Kind of like, that's why I understood Sarah May. Sarah May was trying to be something she thinks people want or people are expecting from her, but it's not her. So the person I was in a relationship with when she met me, he's like, God, he's unbelievable. He's this powerful force of nature. He can shake a building with people and move people. And then it was like, why are you so fucking loud? I was like, loud? This is me. Right? And so what I learned to do was be something different that I really wasn't. And so when you're being something you're not, you're miserable. Who knows what I'm talking about here? Say I. And I'm such a lover. I love people. I never want somebody to not be happy. So I would always sacrifice everything to try to make somebody happy, but by not being who I was. There was nothing wrong with her. I was just miserable because I didn't understand the game. When I finally figured this process out, and by the way, guess how I did it? I interviewed people. I had a couple guy was 92, woman's 89, came to my Date with Destiny seminar, and these two were physically all over each other all the time. I mean, so much so it was like, get a room. I mean, this is hard to watch, right? And everybody in the whole seminar noticed it, so I finally brought them on stage and interviewed them. Shit, they're young punks in their 60s. So I bring this 92-year-old man, this 89-year-old woman up, and I said, I got to interview you guys. So I'm interviewing them. I said to him, I said, tell me something. I said, you two seem to not just love each other, you love each other. And they went, oh yeah. I mean, you're rather physical, aren't you? They said, oh yes, we love to be together. I said, and you guys have intimate relations? Oh yes, every day. Every day? Sometimes several times a day, the woman says. No exaggeration. And they were so adorable, and they were all of each other, hugging each other, grabbing each other, touching each other. And I said to him, I said, okay, there are a lot of people that think when you're together 3, 4, 5, 10 years, there's nothing new. They said, nothing new. They just aren't being flexible enough. They're not trying new things. I said, well, tell me something. What's your belief about, how do you stay intimate? The woman says, well, you can't just talk. You got to touch. And she said, touch lots of things. And she's so adorable. And so I said, so you guys have this passion all the time? Yeah. And I said, what's your belief? And he said, well, we believe that it's never boring because we believe there's nothing ugly between two people who love each other, nothing dirty between two people who love each other. She said, yeah, here's our rule. We try anything once, and if we like it, we do it again. So I spent 5 years interviewing people who've been together 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and they don't just have love, they have passion. They're not hanging out, they love each other, and it changed the game for me. And the biggest change in my life, I would give up everything in my life without no exaggeration, no hyperbole, everything I've ever learned, everything I've ever done for the relationship I have with my sage. She has been I'd die for this woman, no exaggeration, but I couldn't have gotten to that place if I hadn't been through all those other places first. And the gift that I've got in that area is a gift you deserve. And anybody can have it. You could be with somebody together for 10 years and you could reignite it because you just didn't know the triggers. Or some of you may find that you're in a relationship where truthfully you are nothing in common. You're just scared shitless to end it because you're afraid of being alone. But there's a way to do this in a way where things can be elegant, but you can be free and you can bring to your life what you deserve. I tell people one thing. If you're not happy in your intimate relationship, you're not fucking happy. Because I don't give a shit how hard you work. I don't care how much money you make, how many trophies you get. In the end, if you don't have that aliveness and passion, a part of you is dead inside. And it doesn't have to be that way. And I got to tell you something. Some of you maybe seen some of the films of the people I've turned around who hate each other, want to kill each other, been together forever, have no attraction. And we don't just change them in that moment. We follow up. You see them a year later, 2 years later, 5 years later. They never go back because we rewire it. And Date with Destiny. Oh, I got some people who graduate Date with Destiny. Wow. Some grads of Date with Destiny here. Date with Destiny is that program I described this morning when I was talking about Dickens and I talked about going to Fiji and I had that process of coming up with that process. Well, I turned that into a 5.5 day process that what Date with Destiny does is it basically, we worked our tail off here. You got to use a lot of physical energy to deal with your beliefs. Your values, you'll never get through with physical energy. You have to know, it's almost like a puzzle. You have to know exactly what thing triggers what feeling, triggers what emotion. And until you know that, you're at the effect of everything in your life. What Date with Destiny does is it helps you get a plan for your life. Not a plan like scribbling it out, I have to live a certain way, but you begin to see how to take the different parts of you that have inner conflicts and align those parts so you're pulled exactly where you want to go. It is by far the most powerful thing I do, bar none. And the experience in those 5.5 days is like nothing you've experienced in your life because you're going to discover and basically learn how to trigger everything that controls every thought, every feeling, emotion in your life. And after about 4.5 days of doing this, where you now have complete mastery over your own life, then we bring in intimate relationship into it. Because what happens is, you get somebody that really has problems, and they put them with somebody else who loves them, who also have problems, you got big problems. Once you got yourself wired, now you can figure out how to create a relationship at the level you want. So, here's what I want you to know. How many of you would like to go to the next level of this process? Say aye. Then you got to deal with the two issues that always show up, time and money. Here's what I'll do. I'll handle the money side from my guarantee. You can go to anything I teach, half of it, if in your judgment it isn't the best freaking thing you've ever done in your life, so you don't have to wonder, is his weekend the most he can do? This is nothing compared to where we're going. But you be the judge. You can get it all back. So you can go home if you decide to do this and tell somebody, I'm going to steal from him. I'm going to go half the program and take it all for free. You won't. It'll transform you. So that's number one. So you don't have to have any fear or wondering, is it worth it to you, or am I taking a financial risk? Zero financial risk. But you're going to have to come up with figuring out how to change and get through the time. School teachers, owners of businesses, whatever. But what I'll tell you is, it'll transform your life. This is the time you make an investment in yourself that'll go beyond anything you can imagine. Let me tell you about Date with Destiny. Here's what I'll tell you. Go. Go. Trust. If you trust me at all, if I did not betray your trust here, tell you, go. So don't miss out on this piece. Date with Destiny, mark it down, make it happen. That's number one, okay?